said a bong. Man, I wish we brought a bong. Would have made things a lot more interesting if I was like Dan on the edge.
All right, and we're live. What's going on, everybody? Sorry for the wait. Boston Joe had to jerk off to Tom Brady's Instagram page one last time.
Hey, I mean, I thought we don't kink shame, Bill.
I don't kink shame, but I kink judge. Okay, there's a bit of a difference.
That's fair enough. I mean, if I was to have sexual relations with any man, it would be Tom Brady. So I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, it's fair.
It'd be non-consensual on his part too.
It's fair. It
Yeah.
seems the richer he gets, the more attractive he gets, which is a trend for most people.
Well, I mean, Giselle's pretty hot, but I think her sister's a little hotter. Right now, Tansy's fucking with the lights and making me look pasty and pale as a ghost right now. Like
he's making you look like you're from Boston, dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that like the natural skin color of Boston, so you could blend into the snow?
Yes, blend into the snow. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm an Irish motherfucker, so of course I'm a pasty white. I have a friend who had cancer, and he was always skinny, and he refers to himself as skinny white. So, you know, sometimes it's a big black, sometimes it's a skinny white.
Anyways, hello and welcome to the Nooner Nation, the podcast for Nooners by Nooners. How's everybody doing in the live chat? Today we're doing an episode. We've got Boston Joe, everybody's favorite masshole, host of Drinking Bros Sports Tailgate Legends, and I believe you run the Drinking Bros music page now. Is that you?
I do. That is me. Eventually, when I remember the login info, I'm going to have Jimmy, our producer, run it too because he's way better at social media than me. I suck at social media, so I'm trying to figure that along the way. We've been recording a couple Drinking Bros music shows. It's in the works. It's a long process. But yeah, eventually, hopefully, you know, that's going to have its own page, just like Drinking Bros History, Drinking Bros Sports, and everything like that. And I think it'll be pretty cool. I've been getting some pretty positive feedback from the peeps out there, and I mean, everyone loves music, whether it's rock, hip hop, or everything.
Yeah, I did a poll a couple of days ago, and it turns out people like music. Who knew?
Wow! Surprise! I mean, I think it's a pretty universal thing, and I think it is lacking. They might have everything else except for the music category. Obviously, Jared's very musically inclined. Even Ross, you know, can hit the notes correctly.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that Drinking Bros lacks, and I think it's something we can bring to the table.
So luckily we're live on YouTube because you see this note. I don't know if you can read it.
Hit record.
Guess what I didn't fucking do for the fifth time in a row, y'all.
Rookie,
but it's on YouTube, so it's fine. It's fine. I can get it all off of YouTube. And also joining us is Jake, the Space Cowboy, host of the Wake and Jake show. What's going on, Jake?
Nothing much. Just chilling, drinking some vodka, smoking CBD.
Yeah, CBD. Nice. What kind of vodka are you drinking?
CBD?
Drinking Deep Eddy. I actually got this suggestion when I was out in Austin visiting the Drinking Bros. So.
Yeah, I think that's Ross Patterson's favorite, if I recall correctly.
Oh, it wasn't even from Ross, so
okay.
That's interesting to know.
Awesome. Well, hopefully the audio is all good. I think I got that finally figured out. Now if I can just remember to hit fucking record, this might seem like a semi-professional podcast.
Yeah,
but until then, we're going to fuck around like we always do.
Good.
So who we got in the live chat tonight? Tansy's there. I'm sure Tansy's probably waving his dick in the studio at Boston Joe right now.
He is.
If he's not, he's about to.
My eyes are fixated on over
That's
the camera.
That's what took him so long to get on.
JJ, what's up, buddy? Gigi, what's going on, girl? Got Ruben Schneider in the house. Reed White, thanks for staying awake. Tighten your anus, which might be one of the best live chat handles. Oh my God,
I fucking loved Lázaro Lopez.
Oh, yeah. Is he in here? Oh, there he is. What's up, Lopez? What's going on, man? Looks like you had fun on the yacht with, shit, what's that guy's name? I met him at the airport.
Marcus.
No, not Marcus. Not Marcus.
He was on the yacht with him, though.
Yeah. God, trying to think. I know who he is. I know the company he owns. I don't know if he wants that to be public, but he was hanging out with Ray Cash Care at the golf tournament. So,
Leon, not Leon. Something like
Dion.
that, though. Dion. There you go.
Yeah, Dion. That dude's like, I thought Ray was fucking around with how rich that guy was. Turns out, like, no, he's really that rich.
Yeah, must be nice.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get Tansy rich.
I think we should all get Tansy rich. On that
I love
note,
that he just looks at him in the corner and just like he's in love.
it's a bromance. It's definitely a bromance. I mean,
It really is.
Would you say that he's like your Bill Belichick?
Sure. Yeah, because it's not always smooth. Let's just.
Or
say.
Is he more like? Are you more like he's Tom Brady, and you're his child, and you guys make out on occasion?
No, I think the Belichick Brady thing is a good comparison because obviously I'm younger, more successful, more handsome, but he's a grumpy curmudgeon who has had success in the past, but obviously needs me in order to make him even that much more successful, as we saw on Sunday night when we did our live stream and watched the Patriots and the Bucks play.
Yeah, how'd you feel about that game?
I was conflicted, man. All I've ever known was Tom Brady with the Patriots, so it's Tom first. But then once the game started, I'm like, fuck, I need the Patriots to win this game.
Yeah.
So I was a little conflicted. I got to be honest with you, but I mean, Tom always finds a fucking way. But I got to say, the Patriots played great. Mac Jones played great. He looked awesome. And Belichick put them in the position to win the game. That doofus Nick Folk kicker couldn't bang that 56-yarder in the cold rain. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm impressed with what I've seen so far with Mac Jones. As we see Jimmy getting in front of the camera hand, trying to make me sound better, I suppose. It's tough to make me sound good, though, with this gnarly Boston accent that I got going on here.
It might be me. It sounds like, I don't know, your levels look all right. Let me see.
No, I'm good. What it is we got Jimmy and Tansy in the room here, and they're trying to listen at the same time. If they don't, they'll just hear me as a one-sided conversation, and they'll be like, what the fuck are they even talking about, Which might be for the best, honestly.
Right.
Wasn't it pretty normal you talking to yourself?
Oh, yes. I talk to myself all day. I don't know if you guys ever watched Dexter, but that's coming back, by the way. I'm super excited for that. I named my dog Dexter after the show, the vigilante fictional serial killer. And he's got an inner monologue, like a lot of shows, The Wonder Years, where that's, the main component of the show is having someone with an inner monologue. And that's me. I'm talking to myself all fucking day. It's like an angel and the devil on each shoulder, and they're fighting each other all day long. And that's the madness that is my mind.
So, wait. So the show Dexter is about a serial killer? I
Yes,
thought it was like a live action of like the kid from Dexter's Lab all grown up.
Maybe.
Yeah, I thought the sister was Dee Dee.
Yeah. Dee, get out of my laboratory. Yeah, that's a show that, if you go back and watch that show, the mom in that show was thick. The couple C's, too.
See, I'm honestly starting to understand why I'm attracted to wide women because of fucking TV when I was a kid.
Pixar, like Mrs. Incredible and...
Fuck, yeah.
Yeah, have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that meme? It's like Don Draper. It's like, here's an idea. Like, it's like Pixar execs. It's like, give all the moms dump truck asses. And it's worked out. I mean, yeah. Was it?
I'm in.
From Incredibles. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the animators or the producers of Dexter's Lab got scooped up by Pixar.
Yeah, they're all horny. I mean, Walt Disney was a Nazi, but. Whatever, we can talk about that another time, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, isn't there a dick on the Little Mermaid cover? So
yeah.
Oh, there's more than that, man.
Yeah, there's a scene in The Rescuers where like somebody's like watching porn through a window or something.
Oh yeah, and Aladdin, you can hear Aladdin saying, "Good teenagers take off their clothes." I got Boston Joe sounds like a younger RA from Spittin' Chicklets. I have listened to RA and Spittin' Chicklets. He was on WEEI back in the day. He used to be a janitor. Now, I used to work at Planet Fitness, so I was basically a glorified janitor. So there might be a connection there. If I get on a podcast as successful as Spittin' Chicklets, though, I would. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, Drink Your Bros Sports, like Tailgate Legends, you guys are probably doing all right, right?
We're working our way up. It's been a process, but we're getting there. It's getting better. I mean, we're going to be in Duke in Durham, North Carolina this Saturday. I'm trying to convince these guys to get over to App State in a couple weeks. I think it's the 20th, which is the day before my birthday.
Boone's a party. I've partied a lot in Boone.
I've heard App State's like the best party school in North Carolina next to ECU.
Dude,
so,
because there's nothing else to do in fucking
right?
Boone. Unless you like to ski or snowboard on really shitty slopes, there's nothing in Boone, man, except to get high, get drunk, and go to Wendy's at 2 a.m.
Honestly, you know it's a really underrated party school? UNM. It may not seem like it, but there's nothing else in Albuquerque to do besides fucking drink and do any kind of drug you can get your hands on.
Or make meth like Walter White did.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, you can make meth or make weed. There's 2 options here.
So
I think you grow weed, right?
Well, you can make like edibles and the oil. I mean, that's pretty fun to do.
Some synthetic weed, whatever it was that you were smoking just earlier there.
Yeah, whatever I'm smoking.
No, I'm jealous. I wish I had a bong up here for myself. I don't think the narc Eric Tanzi from Failure to Stop podcast would appreciate it, but hey.
It's like, careful, you're in the same room as a cop. You may not be able to say that
Former
word
cop.
without getting arrested or beaten.
He always says that too, like you just said, Bill. Former cop, not a cop anymore.
So he's cool now.
Yeah,
no,
he's cool.
Now he's just undercover for like the State Bureau of Investigation. This is all just a cover.
Imagine, and
The
he's
whole
like
distillery, everything.
He's infiltrating drinking bros.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That if was the ICP group the
Insane
the
Clown
Juggalos?
Posse?
If the Juggalos is listed as a terrorist group, I'm sure like Drinking Bros and Nooners are on some sort of watch list by now. So
I think Tansy listened to some Insane Clown Posse growing up. That seems like his genre. Imagine Tansy in the full-on like makeup, the clown makeup and everything.
With like the little dreads on top sticking out of his head and everything.
That might be cultural appropriation there, so I don't know.
Walking around dumping Faygo on posers' heads and shit.
Whooping everywhere he goes.
Yeah, whoop. So, somebody in the chat said, Boston Joe, you're, it was Tansy. The Zodiac Killer is Boston Joe's dad. Can you confirm that?
He's Ted Cruz's son?
If Ted Cruz was my dad, that would probably be worse than my real dad. But
is that a thing? Is Ted Cruz like suspected of being the Zodiac Killer?
Yeah. Trump said that his dad killed JFK or something. That was the Zodiac Killer. So, but there's been new information that actually just recently came out about the Zodiac Killer, where allegedly they've got a case closed because they matched some guy who died like 2 years ago's handwriting and the wristwatch that they found. I don't know shit about the Zodiac Killer other than, Robert Downey Jr. had a pretty good movie a couple years ago that came out about it.
Yeah, I feel like astrology chicks like would be really into him, right? Like with the crystals and the zodiac signs.
Well,
Wasn't there a whole theory that it was a group of radical lesbians that were doing the Zodiac killings?
That would be great. Honestly,
we're talking about was that like Scum or something like that out of San Francisco back in like the Andy Warhol days?
Was that just an American Horror Story or was that real?
So that's where I first saw it, but I think that was actually kind of a thing. Like that, like some lady actually shot Andy Warhol and she was like part of some like radical feminist group kind of thing.
Well,
I could be wrong. But
speaking of radical feminists and lesbians, did you guys catch Dave Chappelle's new special on Netflix?
It was honestly pretty great.
I thought it was awesome. I watched it today, actually, so it's fresh in my mind. And he definitely hammers home on the whole trans thing, obviously in response to the flack that he got for, his previous special where he talks about the alphabet people, right, which was fucking hilarious. Dave Chappelle, in my opinion, is the stand-up GOAT. Chappelle Show is the greatest, skit comedy show I've ever seen. So he definitely hammered that home a lot. Bless you. He definitely hammered
CBD kicking back at you.
Yeah.
You were allergic to my voice or something?
I'm allergic to your beauty.
Well, the lighting's just right. Make me look good enough, but
that and the voice. You can't slow my voice, but I have a rager right now because of that voice.
It's a combination of Fergie and Jesus, I've been told. So, I'm just trying to put the bass a little bit higher up on this mic, like Howard Stern does nowadays.
Yeah, fuck Howard Stern. But whatever.
You go back and listen to young Howard Stern. Now he's got this nasally high voice like this, and nowadays he's got like a real deep voice. And I'm like, bitch, we know you turn the bass up on your voice. Like, my voice
Is it that or
sucks.
cigarettes?
Maybe. Maybe it's cigarettes, but he claims to be like this germ freak, right? So why would he be smoking cigarettes in the day of COVID, where all he wants to do is go and play chess with his neighbors and shit on Joe Rogan? It's a weird thing with Howard Stern, right? I mean, without Howard Stern, none of us would really probably be doing any sort of podcasting, anything. You know, Change Radio and that whole media forever. It's sort of the catalyst.
I worshipped him for a while. He was a big inspiration when I was a kid. A dark sense of humor that could be dirty and hilarious.
Yeah, chicks riding the Sybian and dudes undressing their mom on like camera. But then now he's become everything that he hated and everything that he used to shit on. He has Hillary Clinton on, and he's like, "So you and Bill just love each other so much. You know, tell me about your love life." And he's kissing Ellen DeGeneres on his show, and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Didn't he talk about Monica Lewinsky slurping Bill's dick?
I'm sure.
Show one time.
I'm sure he did, and now he's like, "Oh, Hillary, you're just so great, so great."
Yeah, I saw that. Like that. I don't know if it's been out, but I just kind of got the alert that new series about Bill Clinton's impeachment.
Oh, the American Crime Story one.
Yeah, and by the way, like, I know, like back then when she was young, like Lewinsky wasn't exactly what she is now, but they did not do her any favors in that casting.
Yeah, who's playing her?
She's a beautiful little. It's
Jonah Hill's sister.
So Jonah Hill in a wig, you know?
Yeah, Jonah Hill in a wig with smaller tits.
Has anyone's weight fluctuated more than Jonah Hill's? I mean, you go through all his movies, and he's huge. You go back.
Heroin.
You watch Accepted. I'm sure we all know Accepted. A dear friend of ours was in that movie, right? And he was fat as fuck, and even Grandma's Boy's fat as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
And then it gets a little bit skinnier for like
even Superbad.
Wolf of Wall Street. Yep, he's fat and Superbad too.
Yeah, he's a fat little dumpy kid.
Yeah.
But
he's great.
Moneyball, I think in Moneyball, like, if he had fallen over, he'd be like rolling down the hallways.
Yeah. And maybe Ross won't like me saying this, but he told us off screen, off camera one time, Jonah Hill's an asshole. So
I forgot to ask about that.
I don't think that's a stretch of the imagination.
He said Blake Lively was awesome. He said that she was a really cool person, an awesome person.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize she got a nose job. I saw her in Accepted. I watched Accepted a couple months ago, and I was like, oh, shit, she looks a little different. Like, oh, she fixed that schnoz there, which,
I thought you meant somebody jerked off her nose.
Oh, a nose job, huh? That would be quite a way to do it.
Be the most painful facial ever, but.
I mean, I've gotten a couple jobs. A nose job? I don't know. I think I might know a couple girls who might be able to accomplish something like that, but I'll keep that to myself, I suppose. Since we got such a lively chat, Tansy warned me. He said, when you go on this show, you're going to see how lively the chat is, and it's fucking rolling, I got to say. Credit to you guys.
Yeah, man, that's why we do this thing live, dude, in true nooner form, right? You got to have the live chat. That's what everybody comes in for. That's why, on all the videos, it's hashtag Viva la Live Chat.
Viva la Live Chat. I'm sure you guys, watched. I saw you in the comments, so I know you did watch RPR today. Mm-hmm. And Jesse had a nice little monologue of how much life sucks. Yeah. I thought it was great. Jay Fire from the rafters. Love it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, let's face it, too. Like, people are in the live chat. Like, that's why they come to these things. They probably haven't heard a word we've said. They're just fucking around in the live chat. Like, I saw Lopez saying something about you can catch him in the last row of the lesbian parade. The real funny thing about that is most of the women in the lesbian parade probably look a lot like Last Row Lopez.
I know. If you just got rid of the mustache on him,
and that's a knock on them, not him.
Well, some of those lesbians have mustaches, but I mean, it might. If you're 69ing, it might tickle the balls a little bit with the mustache, depending on how you do it, right? But I mean, what do I know, right?
Yeah, but shout out to our lesbian listeners. Hit us up.
Honestly, Lastro Lopez, though, is the type of guy that would make a lesbian reconsider. She's like, I love chicks, but then she'd see him and be like,
Oh, I mean,
It's like that, but with a permanent strap on.
And he loves getting pegged, allegedly. But
yeah, I mean, he oozes sexuality for sure.
He does. Peak male body right there.
Even though in Nashville, apparently I got so drunk I made him uncomfortable. So that shows how fucked up I was in that bar that night.
Was it Tootsie's we were at, right?
Tootsie's, yeah. I think I might have said this on the last episode, but I found like I was in the Nashville airport for like 4.5 hours, like waiting for my plane, and I was just going through my phone, deleting like crazy fucking pictures from the weekend. I was like, why do I have a 5-minute video on my phone? And it was all of us just hammered drunk singing along to Bohemian Rhapsody with that like all-female Queen cover band or whatever that was there. I've still got it. I sent it to my lawyer to be released upon my death. So
you got to do like how I did with the me puking in the sink video from when I was hanging out with Coop and Joel. Just fuck it, post it.
Love me some Coop and Joel, by the way. We were Coop didn't make the Dallas trip, but we were with Joel in Dallas, and he's a fucking riot. He's
big fucking great.
Fan. He's awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome. I'm kind of hoping I can get them on the show at some point. Once we get big enough, they're pretty famous now, so they can't just get on any show.
Yeah, they're not like us normal people.
I'm pretty shocked we had Tansy on. I was pretty shocked Tansy agreed to it, which shows that he will whore out for fame.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he's on the iTunes charts. He's real famous.
All right, listen. He can't hear you guys right now, but he's like sitting down by me, and I'm just glad he can't hear the shit. He doesn't need his head to get any bigger at this point. So let's go back to shitting on Tansy. Actually, I like that better.
Nah, I can't shit on him.
Level him out a little bit.
Can't shit on him. I think like we said earlier, we need to get him up to our dude Dions level, which actually Lopez said in the live chat who he works for. So I guess we can say like Dion owns F1 Firearms. I don't know if you've seen them. Check them out on Instagram. No free plugs, but they make some fucking rad ARs. And they come with a price tag, which is, probably why he has that yacht. Actually, I think from what I heard, he made his money. From what I heard, he made his money well before owning that company. But check him out. While you're at it, go check out N Still Distillery. Let's get Tansy up there, because I think Joe, do you work at N Still? I don't really know what you do.
You don't know what I do? I don't know what I do.
He's a professional musician.
Look at his.
He does whatever he feels like that day.
Makers of the finest rum in North America, N Still Distilling Company, right there. A little shameless plug for my buddy Tansy. We actually just came from there. They did music trivia that I dominated, but Tansy didn't let me win because it's just not fair, honestly. But what do? I play music and I podcast. You guys sometimes watch me on the YouTubes, I think.
So would you call yourself a starving artist?
I think every artist is starving if they're doing it right.
They're doing it right. Yeah,
even the great John Mayer is starving, and he's one of the greatest of our generation. So
he's starving because all his calories go to that fucking huge hog he's got.
Huge dick. And honestly, I think he's the greatest guitarist of our generation. He's incredible. I've seen him 4 or 5 times with Dead and Company and by himself. Our producer Jimmy is a big John Mayer fan too because he's an incredible musician, and he's from Connecticut, which isn't really New England, but we'll accept it for people like John Mayer, I suppose.
What makes it not part of New
Connecticut
England?
That matters?
What was that?
Is that the only? Is he the only thing from Connecticut that matters?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in Connecticut. I mean, it's basically a cut-through state, and it doesn't have an identity because I went to college with a lot of dudes from Connecticut. They're mostly Jets and Giants fans, and Yankees.
Well, isn't that
Rangers.
kind of like what happens when you become so rich in New York City, you move to Connecticut and you just like helicopter in every day?
Yeah, pretty much. There's some real nice parts of Connecticut, but there's really shitty parts too. Like I think it's New Haven. Forgive me if I'm wrong on my havens. I know there's East Haven and all the other havens in the world there, but there's definitely some bad parts of Connecticut. But they don't have an identity because they're a part of New England, but they also claim to be a part of the tri-state area, whatever the fuck that means. So
isn't that like Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New York or some shit?
No, so it's New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. Massachusetts is not a part of New York in any way. We hate.
I live in the desert, so I don't know that part of the fucking country. So.
By the way, here in the live chat, Tansy, your kids don't suck. Your kids are rad as shit. Like I shame my children with pictures of your kids. I'm like, look at this kid on a skateboard. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? You're sitting here watching Blippi. Like, get on a damn skateboard. Let's go do rad shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to shit on Tansy as much as I can. I can't shit on his kids. His kids are rad, especially when they're like skateboarding around the distillery. I don't shit on you kids. Shut the fuck up. No.
You probably throw rocks on their path while they're going down the way on the distillery just so they fucking eat shit.
Honestly, I live vicariously through Tansy's kids because Tansy's actually a really good dad, and I'm like, oh, that's what it's like. Like those fucking kids are taking them for granted. I wish I had a dad to run 5 miles with in the morning, but I never did. So
yeah, that was going to be the episode. We're going to talk about greatest memories with our dads, and then Joe wanted to come on, so I kind of had to switch that. It'd have been a pretty short episode.
Very short. I don't know how much you guys have listened to our Tailgate Legend shows throughout, almost a year now that we've been doing it for, which is kind of crazy. But there was one, we had John Murray on, which was an awesome episode. And Tansy has me tell like the Boston Joe's dad story. So definitely go back in the archives and check that one out. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting story. And if you guys do watch Tailgate Legends or listen at all, you know that Tansy's never afraid to bring it up that Boston Joe doesn't have a dad. So that's why I just pretend Tom Brady's my dad. It makes it easier.
Yeah, of course.
He doesn't know I exist. That's kind
of like How I Met Your Mother. Bob Barker was Barney's dad.
Oh, is that what it was? I never. Spoiler alert, everyone! Yeah. I never shot.
It's been long enough. Show. If you haven't seen it, then.
So Bob Barker's the. Really?
No, it is not. He doesn't know who his dad is, but his mom just told him when he was younger, like, "Oh yeah, that's your dad," and pointed at the TV like during The Price is Right. So he grew up thinking that Bob Barker was his dad.
Have your pet spayed or neutered.
I mean, isn't that like a whole plot line in The Joker where he thought that one politician or some shit was his dad?
Yeah, he thought Bruce Wayne's dad was his dad or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, shit.
So, in the live chat also, Nico, funny joke about Iowa not having roads to skateboard on. But fun fact, Des Moines actually hosted like the biggest Dew Tour event this year. They built like this rad skate park down by the river in downtown Des Moines and had everybody out. I don't know if you remember that like wheelchair video that Drinking Bros put up with that Aaron Wheels guy who was doing all the flips.
Oh, from Metro Circus?
Yeah, like he came to the Dew Tour thing in Des Moines, and I started talking. I DM'd him. I slid into his DMs, and he rolled right back in. Boom. And we were actually getting ready to go get some drinks, and then he got like called to do some other press and shit, or he's just blowing me off. I don't know, but he seems like a cool ass guy.
He's got one of those wheelchairs like designed for sport, where it's like angled. You ever see those guys play basketball in those wheelchairs? Yeah. Those dudes go hard in the fucking paint.
I'm willing to bet the governor of Texas has one.
Maybe. Do you guys know how the governor of Texas ended up in that wheelchair?
I've always been curious.
He was running and a tree fell on him.
I thought you were going to say he got hit by a car or some shit. That's
some Final Destination shit. If he left like 30 seconds later, he wouldn't have been hit by this fucking tree. So that's some weird shit right there. That's like, it was meant to happen, but.
I thought you were going to say like he was carrying too much freedom and it just like broke his back.
I would, but that whole abortion thing is a whole nother story, but we don't need to get into all that.
Yeah, we won't get into that. All I will say is
much.
We won't have to get into that because I think probably everybody's mind is in the same place on that one. I will say though, politically though, like how ill-timed. Like you had the Biden administration on the ropes over this Afghanistan thing, and then you drop that. Like I understand that that's like a state thing and not a federal thing, but still,
it dominated the news.
Yeah.
Like talk about just like.
I mean, we know what all politicians are, don't we? I mean, Dan reminds us every day, so it doesn't matter if you swing left or swing right. We all know. So.
Oh yeah, yep. Well, anyways, hopefully everybody's had fun so far. We're here to talk about something that I put up in our Instagram stories yesterday. So if you're not following our Instagram, go follow that because I'll put up questions and stuff on there, and depending on the responses we get, I'll probably throw it on the show at some point. If you're not on Instagram, go get one just to follow my page because I'm that important. And follow Tansy and Boston Joe, I guess, and Jay.
And Drinking Bros music.
Man, I mean, if you're one of these weird people that like music. Like,
yeah, those people are assholes.
But have you ever met someone who is like, oh, what type of music do you like? And they're like, I don't know, I don't really listen to music. And you're like, the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah,
like, that's a red flag.
I have family members like that, and it's odd. I was like, so what do you do?
Yeah, what do you do? That's weird. That's like.
What do you listen to in the car?
Like sometimes I just get high and listen to podcasts, but like.
Oh, I listen to a lot of podcasts, trust me, but it's either podcasts or music. What else is there? You know what I mean? Like whale mating calls or some shit, ASMR when you go into bed. That shit.
Porn.
Yeah, Jaron in the live chat, like, I know you don't have social media. You're ducking the federal government. I won't let them know where you are. But anyway,
right now he's in the chat.
I got to thinking one day, a couple months ago, well, it's probably like almost a year ago, when The Last Dance doc came out.
Came out at the right time during COVID, too. Everyone's sitting at home watching.
We're all waiting for the next Tiger King, and here they come with The Last Dance.
Never watched Tiger King. I'm very proud of that. But The Last Dance I did watch, and it was good. A lot of the stuff I already knew, but it was good.
Right. So we were watching. Me and my wife got like really hooked on it, and my wife asked like, "Who is more famous than Michael Jordan?" Which made me think. I'm gonna say, I don't know how to word it. Maybe the modern era, maybe during televised sports era, or I guess maybe mass media televised sports era.
Past 50 years?
I'd say 50 years, right?
Well, if we want to go back a little farther, there's one that's probably the most famous athlete to have ever lived, Babe Ruth.
And that helps. His name helps, right? That's like Babe Ruth. You know, the Sandlot did the whole thing. I mean, he was a Yankee. He had a curse. Never heard of it really, but you know, it was a big deal. And I think name recognition is a big part of it. And Babe Ruth, that helped him on that whole course too.
Yeah, so that's what brings me to the point. In, I guess, the modern era of sports, who is the most famous athlete within that history?
Well, you know my opinion's going to be biased, right? You know I'm going to say Tom Brady. But, you know, if I'm looking at it objectively here, it's definitely regional, right? I mean, people in Wyoming might not know Tom Brady like I know Tom Brady. Right. But, you know, you talk about name recognition, whether they know a lot about them or not. Muhammad Ali's another one where it's just – and it depends, too, because if you're talking, like, just on the field shit, then you can go into it. But when it comes to recognizing Muhammad Ali did just as much outside of the ring as he did inside the ring. We had his widow, Khalila Ali, on our show way back in the day, and she was great. And, you know, she was telling us a bunch of stories. But everyone, you know, Elvis Presley was like, I want to meet Muhammad Ali. Mm-hmm. So it's like,
so that's where I had plenty of people reach out and talk about, you know, so and so is the greatest, right, or the GOAT, right? Like, I'm not going to argue. I grew up a Colts fan. I'm a Peyton Manning person, but I'm not going to argue that at this point, like, Tom Brady is probably the greatest quarterback in history. I mean, people can make whatever comparisons. There's always going to be, you know, some objective thought on any of this stuff. Just like Jake offline, we were talking about who'd you say you were talking about the Gracie family, right? Being the greatest, and the jiu-jitsu. Would you put them as, or you speak to that?
Well,
Jake?
they created Brazilian jiu-jitsu, so
right. And so would you say they're the greatest in jiu-jitsu, or like, are you talking about like, do they transcend into the AMA realm as well?
Like, even athlete-wise, like the way they took care of their bodies and were always conditioning, always working out in some manner. They, like, a lot of pictures that I found weren't shirtless of them, but I guarantee that they had bodies that, like, fucking, what's his name? Bruce Lee.
Like Lázaro Lopez's body.
Oh yeah, that beautiful hunk of man right there.
Peak male body right there.
Yeah. I heard a rumor that people were grating cheese off of his stomach. But anyway,
eating it as it falls.
Cheese from his belly button, but
Flamunda cheese from under his nuts.
But the whole thing what I'm getting to is like being the greatest in a sport doesn't necessarily mean fame, right? I'm talking famous. Like, who is somebody, even if you don't even know anything about the sport, is globally recognized at that point?
Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow, he says.
Well, there's that whole like craze in 2012 where everyone was taking the picture where they're like kneeling like him, Tebowing.
Yeah. When
like,
that was.
What other athlete has become a meme like that? Like one of the first memes on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, too. And coming around during the social media sort of generation, right? I mean, Bill, you mentioned Peyton Manning. Now, you said there's no debate. Tom Brady's better. But when Tom had 3 and Peyton was either on his way to 1 or had 1, Peyton was probably more recognizable because it was like sort of the conglomerate of Belichick and Brady and the Patriots team, whereas Peyton Manning's on all the commercials.
Oh,
and
he markets,
probably,
right? Like
exactly. He was probably
Yeah,
more
he markets
famous.
really good. Him and his brother, like they're all over everything. They're probably two of the most recognizable faces in sports.
Yeah.
Which side note on that, have you guys watched their Monday Night Football stuff? Is it good?
Yes, I have.
Is it worth me getting
No,
ESPN
I
to
don't
watch that?
Monday Night Football, so.
I mean, Monday Night Football is terrible because ESPN puts out a terrible product. One, their announcers are terrible, and
they
the
schedule
matchups
shit
are bad.
games.
Yeah, the matchups are bad. I think the NFL is trying to give a little fuck you to ESPN. I'm not sure. But as much as I've grown up my whole life, I've hated Peyton Manning, to be honest with you. But I've kind of learned to respect him a little bit more as time has gone on because, it was just more of a rival. It was like Bird and Magic, after Bird and Magic was Manning
I mean,
and Brady.
we could make this into a whole other episode, but I mean, you can somebody could almost make the argument that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning were like, they made each other, right?
Absolutely.
Like, would either one of them be who they became in the league without that rivalry?
Yeah, I don't think Tom Brady could have bounced the way he did after Peyton Manning retired and became the biggest name in football if there wasn't no Peyton Manning.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and they definitely pushed each other. And you want to talk like greatest rivalry in all of sports. You have, Duke UNC, Red Sox Yankees, Michigan Ohio State, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, and Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. They played for other teams and this and that, but there was always, they pushed each other. They were good friends off the field. I'm sure they've exchanged secrets. I'm sure Brady was like, yeah, I really did deflate those balls. And Peyton was like, yeah, I really did use HGH, but that's a whole different story. But they definitely, being contemporaries of each other and being the greats, at their position, they definitely pushed each other. I'm sure they learned from each other a lot. But, I mean, it's hard to argue nowadays, maybe, now that Brady has 7 and he's changed teams. He's a little more outspoken than he was with the Patriots, that more people know about Tom Brady than Peyton Manning now. Yeah, but like you brought up with the broadcast, I mean, people are watching Peyton Manning now and getting a real sort of personal connection with him where he's in his living room breaking down the game as it's happening and talking with his brother and being super, transparent and candid. And I kind of appreciate that with him where, I grew to hate him because, off on the field, he was beating my team half the time. But, I mean, I kind of like him now. I like what he brings to the table when, he is with his brother on ESPN. He's really good at that. And I think, if he wants to, he can do that for the rest of his life, honestly. So.
Yeah, I just don't think he wants to. I know, like, at one point, I think maybe NBC, some network threw insane money at him. He's like, he doesn't need the money. So why subject yourself to that kind of schedule anymore? But it sounds like he's having fun on there. But so back to who in the past 50 years, you want to stretch it out to 60 maybe if it helps with the timeline. Like, who has been the most globally famous athlete? Right. My personal opinion, I'm a bit torn between two, being Muhammad Ali or Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. I think the only reason I would go with Jordan over Ali is technology. What am I looking for? Media, TV coverage, right? Like, Sports Illustrated magazine and all this shit. Like, if all of these avenues for exposure had been around and advertising and endorsement had been around in Ali's time, then it probably would be Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Could you imagine if Muhammad Ali was around now and had Twitter? He would number one follow, right? I mean, think about the things he would say and all the things, the controversy that would spiral around Muhammad Ali. So, but you mentioned Michael Jordan. The thing about Michael Jordan, as great as he was on the court, he was a brand. He had his own logo, and Muhammad Ali, it's not his fault that he didn't necessarily have that. You mentioned the times. Maybe if he was around nowadays or even, in the 90s when Jordan was big.
Yeah. There was also a few,
he hadn't done that.
There was also a few social constructs around that kind of might have hindered Muhammad Ali's ability to market himself a little better.
Yeah, even the whole draft thing where he had to serve prison time because he refused to participate in the draft. Like if that had never happened, who knows what could have happened in that span of time.
Right. Yeah, and if Jordan didn't gamble on basketball and went and played baseball for a couple of years, who knows? But, say what you will about Muhammad Ali. I don't agree with Muhammad Ali's stances on a lot of things, but, I mean, he believed that the Vietnam War was bullshit. I believe the Vietnam War was bullshit. Who am I to say? Right. But he stood up for what he believed in, and in his prime, like you said, right, he went to fucking prison. Well, he could have been fighting a lot of dudes and helping his career or getting drafted or whatever it was. But, I'm all for someone who is sticking for what they believe in, even if I don't necessarily agree with what they believe in. So, I mean, Muhammad Ali, if he goes to prison for a couple of years because he didn't like the Vietnam War and didn't want to get drafted, I mean, that's fine. It's a little different than Jordan going crazy after his dad got killed in a gambling accident, and maybe he was gambling too. That's a whole controversy in itself.
That last statement was alleged, and this is a comedy show.
Yeah, there's a theory that the whole baseball stint was because he was suspended from the NBA, right?
No, it was the Looney Tunes. Didn't you see Space Jam? What the fuck?
I mean, I've heard that theory. I don't know.
Who does?
They kind of make it. He has spun it to where he was, I guess, mourning his dad and wanted to get away from baseball and do something, or away from basketball, and go do baseball. But who knows behind the scenes? I mean, even at that point, Michael Jordan was so huge that I don't think we'll ever get a real answer.
So who's more famous, Michael Jordan or Kobe?
Oh, I'd say Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan
more famous.
Yeah, because I would like, with my generation, I'm only 23, so for us, Jordan was only a big name for shoes. Kobe was the big name of basketball, and like when people would throw shit in trash cans, it'd be like Kobe.
Well, right. Do you know why people say that? Do you know where that? So that actually came from Dave Chappelle. So there's a Dave Chappelle skit on the on the Chappelle show. He goes Kobe, and that's where it all came from. It wasn't, Kobe wasn't taking shots and telling people like, say my name when you take a shot. Yeah. But it came from, it was like, Chappelle did a skit on like, make sure you sign a contract so everyone knows
that skit was actually about somebody signing a liability form before you have sex with them. So actually a pretty dark commentary on Kobe Bryant there.
Yeah.
But
my generation turned it into
to your point, thing. Jake, where I was kind of thinking about this is like, the mark of a famous person is like, yeah, sure, at least in the U.S., like Kobe Bryant, right? I think would be very recognizable. But Michael Jordan probably to this day can step out of any airport in any city in the world and be immediately recognized by anyone as Michael Jordan. Like whether you know basketball or not, people will connect the dots and be like, holy shit, that's Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Right. Like that is the level of fame that I don't think anybody has topped. I mean, maybe Kobe, in the past 15 years, maybe I was thinking about this, maybe Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I was going to bring up Tiger Woods too. And the thing about even Tiger, Kobe, MJ, Muhammad Ali, all these guys that we're talking about right now, they all have controversy around them, right? They all have something that makes them stand out.
Somebody in the live chat brought up, I didn't even think about this. Somebody who is certainly recognizable by name and appearance is Mike Tyson.
Especially with that tattoo on his face now, too.
I think he branded himself pretty well. People know who the fuck that is. He's like, that's a crazy face tattoo on a big fucking dude. Oh, shit. It's
that and the Hangover movies made him an icon.
Yeah.
But though I will agree, Mike Tyson, very famous and arguably the baddest man on the planet to this day. I don't think his fame matches up to a Jordan or an Ali.
No, I think Muhammad Ali is to Mike Tyson as Michael Jordan is to Kobe. Where
I agree with that one.
He's kind of like a tier down, not even a tier, like a step down. But that's the thing is like what we're talking about, most famous, and you were saying not like the best necessarily, but the most famous. Nobody's brought up Wayne Gretzky. Now,
somebody in the live chat did say that.
Scotty, the Honorable Dirtbag, I believe, said that.
So he should be, because if you look at Wayne Gretzky's numbers, they're stupid. Because if he'd never scored a goal in his career, just based off his assists and everything else alone, he'd have the most points in hockey history.
Yep.
But there's not a lot of controversy. Hockey isn't as big as all the other sports in America, so that makes him not as famous, right? So when you talk about all these other guys, Tiger Woods especially, the stuff that swirls around them outside of the sport that they play is what makes them famous. That's why the whole Brady and Peyton Manning argument is actually a thing, because Brady has, basically teabagged Peyton Manning when it comes to rings and everything else. He owns every record. But one could argue Peyton Manning's still more famous. So when you have other things going on outside of the sport that you're playing, that sort of allows you to be larger than life and larger than the sport you play, which is all these guys that we've named are bigger than the sport that they even play.
Yeah, so like in the live chat, like what's your opinion on this? Like who is the most famous? Like arguably, I'm not talking about the greatest in a sport again, like the most famous, like has reached a level of celebrity that most celebrities wish they could reach through athletic talent.
I think it's Michael Jordan. I think because the shoes, because the movie, Space Jam, which he was a horrible actor, by the way. But, I mean, he's a name.
Well,
he's a
at
brand,
that point, he was so famous and so well-loved, he didn't have to fucking act well, right?
Yeah.
People still watch that movie.
Of course.
Yeah, he's Michael fucking Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. And,
And I will say, I've actually met him twice when I was a little bit younger doing some stuff. He owns a motorcycle team that I kind of hung around with some people that worked on those bikes. For one, did not realize growing up how big he is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think he's
like it's amazing.
Right?
I just grew up watching him. I didn't even really watch him. I mean, that's how famous he was. That I didn't even watch basketball, but I knew like Michael Jordan, right? Like, he was in your face constantly, and you aspired to be Michael Jordan, even if you didn't want to play basketball.
Yeah, even that Disney movie, like Mike.
Yeah, that's right.
Little Bow Wow.
Little Bow Wow.
When he was still Little Bow Wow, and not faking Instagram photos with model jets and shit.
Oh, yikes! And the other thing about all these guys too is being able to sort of change the game. I think Peyton Manning and Tom Brady changed the game in a lot of ways. The NFL wouldn't be what it is today without them. And as big as Kareem and Magic, and even way back in the day, the Bill Russell days, but like the Bird and Magic rivalry, as big as the NBA was getting then, it was still on tape delay in the 80s. Jordan in the 90s completely changed and revolutionized that game, where the NBA became what it is today because of Michael Jordan and what he brought to the table, and finally beating guys like the Bad Boy Pistons and Isaiah Thomas, and beating Larry Bird and those guys. And you could say the same with Tiger Woods, right? I mean, Tiger Woods was an old, white, stuffy, fat guy hitting the ball, and then all of a sudden this like
an actual athlete shows up.
Exactly, and it's like, who the hell is this guy? And he took that. I mean, nobody would really. I feel like there'd be less fans of golf nowadays and less professional golfers nowadays if it wasn't for Tiger Woods. He completely revolutionized the game in a ton of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I might be one of the only people here and in the live chat that enjoys golf, watching it and playing it. I think Tiger definitely. I'll probably, from what I've heard, again, like I didn't grow up watching basketball or anything, but it seemed like Jordan kind of brought the NBA out of obscurity and into the mainstream a bit more. So exactly what Tiger did, right? Before that, he had a bunch of kind of like country club white dudes playing golf tournaments that nobody cared about, making, if you won, you still made a decent living. If you won a golf tournament, you probably made $150,000 or something, right? Tiger Woods breaks on the scene, and now if you win a golf tournament, you can just win one tournament that's not even a big deal tournament, and you're making life-changing money. I mean, you're making a minimum of like 1.2 million for winning that tournament. So like with that, I mean, we talked about famous. It seems like the consensus is probably Jordan, right? The most famous athlete alive. I mean, like we said, there's an argument for Ali, but in Jordan's favor, he was born during this era, right? Like he had the media coverage. Yeah. So with that, we've talked about kind of who we think are the greatest in each sport. You have Brady in the NFL. Lopez is going to say Dan Marino. He didn't win anything.
He has as many rings as me, Dan Marino. Yeah. Just so we know.
So if you have Brady if you have Brady in the NFL, you've got Jordan in the NBA. And even with this scenario I'm about to put out there, you can even put Kobe. You can replace Jordan with Kobe. You've got Gretzky in the NHL. You've got Tiger in the PGA. What am I missing?
Baseball is what you're missing.
Baseball. So who's the biggest?
A-Rod.
A-Rod? Okay.
He's probably the most famous just because he fucked J-Lo, to be honest.
And, I mean, the thing about A-Rod, I mean, you can go on and on about A-Rod, too, because with the whole, I think it was Biogen in Miami, where he was basically recruiting guys like Nelson Cruz and a bunch of other guys to go and take steroids with him. And he's completely done a 180. The whole, like, consensus on A-Rod is he's kind of this lovable guy when he was an asshole all the time with the Mariners, the Rangers, and the Yankees especially.
Right.
So it's funny how he's kind of changed the narrative on him. He does bang J-Lo, gets his heart broken. She goes to Ben Affleck again, which is hilarious, another Boston guy.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put A-Rod on that sort of pedestal. I would say Derek Jeter would be bigger, especially when the time that he kind of came up and everything. He's a little overrated on the field as a player, but you want to talk about being larger than life and larger than the game and famous. I mean, Derek Jeter, he's got to be up there. He's got to be.
That
So
kinda
even
goes back
if
to the
it's
whole thing
Jeter
we were
or
talking
A-Rod, of fame, right? Let's just talk about fame. Like, I probably couldn't pull Jeter out of a lineup. Maybe if it was in some sort of situation, like if I happened to be like somewhere with baseball players, right, and knew what to look for, like I could probably pull him out. Dude, we were in Nashville. I was talking to Johnny Damon for like a half hour. Like I did like 3 shots with him. I had no clue he played baseball until I asked him. People looked at me weird.
Yeah, Johnny Damon's a hero of mine growing up in Boston. I mean, they called him Captain Caveman, and he was great in 03 and 04 especially. And we talked about that a little bit too. And that was like all my buddies were like, they saw me with John Daly and Ron White and all these pictures. And they're like, dude, Johnny fucking Damon. I'm like, yeah, dude, I can't believe it. I didn't even know it was going to show up. It was cool to meet a guy like that.
So out of the most famous person in each sport, what would have, or I guess of all those people, which one would have the greatest impact, not only in sports history, but I mean world history as a whole, if you just took them out of existence?
Probably Jordan, because Nike would have died without him, to be honest.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe, but
it would have been leveled out more, right? Like Adidas and other brands would have been sort of all leveled out without him. Honestly, I think it comes down to either Jordan or Tiger.
I was going to say Jordan or Tiger, right? Because, I mean, Jordan, there's been speculation about things, but he's really never stepped a foot wrong, and he's just a marketable guy, incredibly talented. I mean, there's a reason why he's that marketable, but, and Tiger was that way. And I think what made Tiger so famous was you had a guy who was incredibly talented, and then it came out that he was incredibly flawed.
Yes. Yeah, especially if you watch that documentary on him. And
I don't say flawed as a judgment. I mean, I to this day say his biggest mistake was getting married, right? Because if you've never gotten married, who gives a shit if he's like banging a Perkins waitress on her period in a church parking lot, right?
Yes, true, right? I mean, if he just stayed single, was a bachelor his whole life, it wouldn't have the same sort of, And honestly, that was bad timing too, because I'm pretty sure the year prior he was on, I don't know, Sports Illustrated, some magazine with him and his family, and it was like the squeaky clean look of Tiger Woods, and then
Wasn't that the picture the news was running with the most? Was the cover with his kids and his wife?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that was a consequence of being a famous golfer.
Yeah,
he already had an uphill battle with being black in golf. I don't think it's any kind of secret. The heritage of the golfing tradition and black people not exactly included in most of that. For a
honestly,
long time.
though, I now that you bring that up, I would say that Tiger was probably one of the most influential. Without him, things would have been completely different.
Yeah, so I mean that's almost where I say in this scenario, like if you took one of these players out, the world would be different. Like I go with Tiger personally, just because I think obviously, like we've said, Michael Jordan, hands down, the most famous athlete and arguably probably the most talented. But I think eventually in the NBA, they would have found somebody, right? There would have been somebody else.
Yeah. Whether it be Kobe,
it might have been Scottie Pippen, maybe.
Charles Barkley.
Barkley was a beast, you know.
But I think. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say Jordan. I mean, if there was no Jordan, right, there would be way more parity in that '90s NBA. Stockton and Malone would have got one or two. When he did retire, Hakeem Olajuwon, the Rockets, got a couple in there. So there could have been a lot of different guys who could have stepped up, but I don't think any of them would have won 6.
No.
Shaq,
I mean,
maybe?
we'll come back to that. I got a question on that one. But yeah, so I think if Tiger had never existed, the game of golf stays where it's at for a long time. I mean, maybe like Phil Mickelson makes it popular, but maybe not, because he's just another flabby white dude who just happens to be able to hit good flop shots, I guess, and has a hot wife from Arizona.
He wouldn't have been as successful because
because not even John Daly was able to do it.
Yeah, for a little bit. But it's all, you know, about when you talk parity, it's like Brady was always in the race, in the running to win. Tiger was always right there winning championships, and it's like, oh, even if you don't really pay attention, you're watching SportsCenter, you're paying attention to different sports, like, oh, there's Tiger Woods again. You know, same with, 90s Michael Jordan. No, he won another one. It's like just a thing that happens. Where if you take those guys out, maybe you have someone who wins 2, someone who wins maybe even 3 with a good team. Like we saw Shaq and Kobe win 3 in a row, and that was a big deal. But then, inevitably they break up, and the rest is history with that. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they were so consistently on top of that game is what, sets them.
So that was going to be my next question. And by the way, everybody in live chat who is not into sports, sorry, you picked the wrong episode to listen to. But anyways, so Jordan, obviously incredibly talented, incredibly driven. Do the Bulls win 6 titles with him as their front runner without the rest of the team that's around him?
Oh, no,
right. I mean, you can make the same argument with almost any athlete. I mean, does Tom Brady, the best quarterback in the league, I mean, he can't do it all himself, right? He had a system. I mean, that rookie year when Bledsoe came out, I mean, maybe one could almost argue that might have been one of his best years, like not behind the scenes, but intangibly one of his best years, because he stepped in to a team as a second string on a team that wasn't built for him, right, or built around him, and won a Super Bowl. Whereas from that point on, when he was the guy, they structured a team around him. Same thing with Manning. Yeah. Same thing with, not Aaron Rodgers, because they never gave him shit.
Yeah, well, that's a different story with Rodgers. But it's funny you bring that up, because with Brady, right? So he's won MVP 3 times now, and each time he's won MVP, he's actually lost in the Super Bowl.
Right.
So when it comes to like the first 3 Super Bowls, maybe the third one against the Eagles, but the first 3 are pretty much Belichick. The defense was stacked. Brady was kind of a game manager. The game was different then. It was just on the cusp of Brady and Manning changing it, where they're airing it out all the time like they are now. Now, the age-old thing was, if Brady and Peyton switch teams, who would have more championships? Now, I think there's something about Brady that sets him. It's kind of like a LeBron and Michael Jordan thing. Now, again, this isn't a shitting on Peyton Manning thing, but Brady's got that killer instinct, to that mentality where you knew no matter what, he's down 28-3, he's going to pull it out. Whereas Peyton Manning historically would choke in big moments. He did pull it out sometimes, but he would choke a lot. So Belichick, obviously, it was the age-old story in Boston. Who's more responsible, Belichick or Brady? I would like to say Brady was just a little bit more. But Belichick's the GOAT at his position, too. Mm-hmm. He was teamed up with Peyton Manning for all that time. Maybe Peyton would have won 3 or 4. I don't think he would have won 6. And then if Brady's with someone like Tony Dungy and a Colts team that was loaded, Marvin
Harrison,
Dallas Clark, Edgerrin James. They were great. So maybe Brady would have won a couple with them, too. So,
Peyton even kind of proved that with his first Super Bowl with the Broncos, when he completely fucking choked.
Yeah.
After a great fucking season.
Yeah. Well, even the one he won with the Broncos, like I said, I'm a Peyton Manning supporter. The one he won with the Broncos, I think the Broncos defense kind of won that, right? Like Peyton played well. He played well, but the offense didn't win that Super Bowl.
Yeah, because wasn't it that stop in the last minute against the Seahawks that kind of won that Super Bowl for them?
Yeah, but if I recall, when was that? Fuck, that was...
You're saying with Tom Brady, Malcolm Butler getting that pick?
Or I think
No, I was saying the one with Peyton Manning. The first Super Bowl he won with the Broncos, wasn't it against the Seahawks?
So, no, he lost against the Seahawks with the Broncos, and they got smoked. He won against Cam Newton and the Panthers, who were 15-1 that year, and Cam was MVP. And really, Peyton was a game manager because he was, not even half of what he used to be. That defense and Von Miller definitely carried those guys.
Yeah.
But, Peyton obviously was smart enough to do the right things at the right time. He was a seasoned vet at that point. He didn't turn the ball over as much and this and that. But if you remember back on that year, Brock Osweiler played a lot of that season with the Broncos.
Peyton came into the playoffs pretty fresh, right? And for an old guy who had spine surgery at that point, Yeah. And also, I think the part of the problem, not so much as it is now, in fact, probably not close to what it is now, the Broncos have the same problem that the Cowboys have, is that the GM ownership people will not get the fuck out of the way.
Yep.
Like John Elway, though he was a supporter of having Manning there, he's kind of shown. John Elway, I don't know if he just wants his legacy to be the best Broncos quarterback or something, because he seems to fucking hate having a good quarterback on his team.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think the Ravens would have won this weekend if Bridgewater hadn't gotten hurt and the second string guy had to go in.
Yeah, Drew Lock there. Honestly, I kind of like Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's like Alex Smith. He's not going to win you games, but he won't necessarily lose you games. And the Broncos do have a great defense, but John Elway's kind of, it's hard to really tell. Like, is he successful in that position? Obviously, he's a great quarterback, but is he successful as like a GM and everything? And president.
Something tells me he's a better used car salesman.
If you've ever been to Denver, it's John Elway signs everywhere.
Yeah,
it's
I don't
crazy.
know. And have you heard the rumor, by the way?
He's kind of stepping down, and it's a weird situation. I have some family that are the Broncos fans, and they kind of give me the inside
have you heard
scoop.
who's been has been pitched to buy a portion of the team and be GM?
Probably Peyton Manning.
Oh, well, there you go. And that'd be interesting because, to circle back on what we've been talking about, right? Michael Jordan, who's been, sort of a used car salesman in a different way with shoes, but he goes and, he's like the owner and president of the Hornets, and nobody cares about the Hornets in North Carolina, by the way. But he's been not very successful. He drafts guys like Adam Morrison and shit, where he was obviously the greatest player, but in a different role, different position, he hasn't been very successful. Right. Now, John Elway kind of showed that he could do both, one as a player and then one as, a GM. So it would be interesting. I think if I was Peyton, I would stick to the TV thing. Nice cushy job, and you're not going to get too much criticism.
If I was him, I'd consider the ownership stake, but I wouldn't want to have anything to do with the office. Right.
Yeah, fuck having to be in control of anything like that.
Yeah, it'd be like an investment and like extreme top level board management stuff. Yeah. Don't to hell with spending all that time worrying about who you're going to draft this season and what do you do, how player positioning and stuff. Stick to the TV. I think that's what makes him so likable, is he has fun just being on TV having fun. He doesn't want to be in a suit in an owner's box every Sunday stressing about what the fuck this team's doing, right?
Yeah. And then you mentioned the Cowboys with the whole problem with ownership and Jerry Jones meddles, right? Mm-hmm. That's why, again, I sound like a homer here, but that's why Robert Kraft is such a great owner, because he doesn't meddle. He doesn't get in the way, and that's what Bill Parcells
No, but he does get a bit handsy.
Yeah.
Well, he lets other people get handsy, but listen, everyone was consenting.
You don't know where his hands
I'm okay
were.
with it. Listen, his wife died a couple of years ago. Go easy on the poor little old man.
I'm not hating on
he was sitting on him. He's a saint, according to Boston Joe.
If that girl hadn't been sex trafficked, I would have been fine with the whole situation.
She wasn't. She absolutely wasn't. They did an investigation. She was not sex trafficked at all. It was all consenting adults exchanging funds for a sexual favor. I'm all for that. Legal prostitution is okay as long as everyone is consenting and of age and there's no trafficking involved. But to my point.
So, Bill, we all knew this episode was going to be just mainly Boston Joe simping for Boston, New England, Robert Kraft, and Tom Brady. So
I've been pretty good. Listen, they're successful. What do you want me to say?
He did go Jordan over Larry Bird.
Oh,
True.
absolutely. I mean, it's Magic over Bird too. I mean, look at the numbers. I mean, Magic beat Bird head to head more. I think when it comes to like Brady and Manning and Magic and Bird, you'd have to give it to Magic and you have to give it to Brady. So I'm 1-1.
Somebody's gonna have to explain this joke
Magic.
that Last Row Lopez just made.
Uh-oh,
John
what did he
Elway
say?
can eat corn through a picket fence.
Is that because he's got a horse face to him, or I'm not really sure.
Huh? I'm gonna have to look into that one.
Yeah, that's. I don't know where to go with that one.
I don't know what he's talking about, but I just know it's funny.
Yeah, that one I don't know if I want to touch that one, to be honest. But that's Last Row from the fucking rafters.
Yeah.
Who knows where that's gonna go with that guy?
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Last
But who
Row.
knows? You might make him uncomfortable.
Make an Instagram story about you explaining this joke.
In full character.
Because I'm
by the way.
sure it's gonna be awesome.
I don't want to see Scott. I want to see Last Row Lopez.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
It's because them big ass teeth, y'all, is his response. He looks like a Bronco. John Elway is not a handsome man. Let's just be honst here.
So he's secretly
great
that
quarterback.
statue outside of Denver Airport. He just goes up there every day.
Listen, you want to talk conspiracies? DIA is chock full of them. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
ever been there.
I
Yeah,
have
I
a coworker
spent,
that used to work there, and he said some crazy shit about it.
Dude, they have murals of like kids getting slaughtered and weird. It's a weird thing. I've been there several times.
I've only been once, and we got delayed, so I was there for like 8 hours. So I started looking into all the conspiracy stuff. I also got called a cracker in the to-go beer line, and compared to Jim Crow for telling a guy like, "Hey man, the line's like here." Because
Sounds like Denver.
some guy cut in line, and I was like, "Hey man, line's back here," and he's like, kind of gave me a look, and he's like, "Fuck you, Jim Crow cracker. What do I look
You
like?"
told him to go to the back of the line. That's why.
Maybe, I don't know. I was like, okay, man. Like, I guess you need this like $9 beer faster than I do, so whatever. His Gucci flip flops looks like shit.
Wait, you
though,
only paid
so.
$9? I
Yeah,
paid
for like
15.
No, but it was like a 7-ounce pour or something like that.
It's all rip-offs. I mean, you go to Fenway, a Sam Adams is like $15. So all those.
Yeah,
all
I
those
will
beers
say
is
Nashville Airport had pretty decent beer prices.
Austin's too.
The Nashville
honestly.
bars, though, my goodness, man. I got, I think, 3 whiskey gingers, 2 or 3 beers, I think. It was like $70 at that Tootsie's place. I was like, are we fucking serious here? What are we doing?
Yeah, I ordered, I mean, granted, like I knew it was going to be an expensive order, but I ordered like 2 double makers with ginger. And it was like, before tip was like, like $60. I was like, yeah, I'm be sipping this one a little slow.
Yeah. And I didn't have that money to spend, so I had to go around back and make up for it. But,
just invoice.
It's a different story.
Just invoice Ross. You were there for work.
Yeah. I'm here with Drinking Bros. I'm like, who the fuck is that?
It's like, sir, you need to pay your fucking tab and stop lying.
Yeah. We don't care. We don't care you were with Drinking Bros.
Yeah. Well, do you have their credit card? Because somebody's got to pay for this shit.
I wish. Ross
So
did
is
give me
that,
a
is
blank
that,
check
is
one
that the
time.
new word for running out on drinks?
Yeah.
Dude, pulling a drinking bros? Maybe.
Sounds like it could be a thing.
Maybe. But anyways, so I think we've got this pretty well wrapped up, right? Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
Always.
you know,
Yeah.
kind of in the modern era, Jordan's the most famous athlete of all time.
I
And then Boston Joe's gonna go jack himself off with that.
Oh yeah, does he pull a Prince Philip with the
Yes,
on
what a
himself?
creep, man.
On
What
himself?
a fucking creep. Jesus Christ, that guy's the worst.
That is weird, isn't it? Like we'll
Right?
get into that on another podcast if you want to, but like
we'll save that for a conspiracy show or
yeah,
whatever.
the hand puppet takes it
So
to a takes it from
bizarre.
being like, okay, not only are you a pedophile, but now you're like a psychopath.
I mean, if you have a hand puppet of anyone, I mean, you're clearly a fucking weirdo. I mean, who would?
Well, I
ever
mean,
do
I have a hand puppet of myself, but it's
that-
more like for Evan Hafer type reasons, so I can tell people like really shitty things and not get in trouble for it because the puppet said it.
Do you use that to fuck yourself?
No.
Am I shaming you?
No. I actually have a like a full size pillow with my face on it that I use to fuck myself with.
It has a fleshlight hole cut into it, you know?
Like, come on, man. Like, I'm not a complete pervert. I don't use a puppet.
Tell me you're a narcissist without telling me you're a narcissist.
Yeah.
You have a pillow with your face on. It's like Steve-O got his whole back tatted of his face.
I can only come in front of mirrors.
Hey, ketamine and whippets make you do weird shit, okay?
Yeah, they do. They sure do. But
Anyways.
coming back, baby.
Anyways, live chat. I hope you enjoyed this. Sports heavy show, but we're all guys, so we like sports. And I am
on a sports show.
Yeah, and
Boston
Joe's on a sports show. So, and I also wondered. I mean, it is very relevant, even if you don't like sports. I mean, some of the people we talked about had an impact on your life, even outside of sports. I mean, Nike wouldn't be where it is without Jordan and Kobe and Tiger. And
that's what makes them so famous. They're bigger than the sports that they play.
Yeah. So everybody knows the drill. Go find us on YouTube, subscribe, go find us on iTunes. We're now on Spotify, Amazon Music.
Nice.
Google, whatever Google's thing is. I don't know. If you're poor, go find us on Google. Also Podbean. If you don't want any of that, just go to podbean.com and find us. But iTunes is kind of as you people all know by now, iTunes is like the measuring point for all of this podcast stuff. So if you have to, go steal your mom's phone and subscribe to it, rate us, review us, even if it's like, hey, Boston Joe with his fucking hand puppet was weird, but it kind of turned me on.
For sure turned him on.
Just leave that. We love that kind of stuff. As much as if you can shame Boston Joe as much as possible in the reviews, we'll put it up on our Instagram page.
Sure, whatever works.
Oh wait, Boston Joe, before we go.
Yeah.
I remember you saying something about a TB12 tattoo. If the Bucks go undefeated.
I mean, they already lost, but
so you have to get one, right?
I will, because honestly, I've been. So the thing with that, real quick, because I know we're signing off here, but the thing with that is I've thought about getting a TB12 tattoo before. The only problem is TB12, the brand, is associated with Alex Guerrero, which could be a whole episode in itself. Look up Alex Guerrero. He's Tom's kind of guy. Sort of a snake oil salesman. Not a big fan of him. So if something comes out 10 years from now, the TB12 is, Alex Guerrero's going to jail because of all the nefarious shit he's been doing, then it looks real bad to get that tattoo. So maybe I'll just get Brady or something across my chest or whatever instead of But the TB12 logo is pretty rad, I must say.
So, all right, before we sign off, Jake, you just like me, you're starting a podcast. Where can people find you? Nooners, supporting Nooners. That's why I'm
right
here
now,
doing this. So,
I'm on Spotify mainly, at Wake and Jake Podcast. Mainly it's just me smoking and talking shit about random events. And
smoking CBD, right?
Yeah, CBD.
Yeah.
Delta 9 or Delta 8, whatever the legal one is.
So cool. So one more time, where can they find you? On Spotify and Instagram?
Yeah, on Spotify and Instagram. The Instagram's at Wake and Jake Podcast. Spotify's Wake and Jake Show. So.
Okay. Yeah, and actually, we keep going off on tangents. I forgot all about this. You made the trip to the Holy Land, right? You made the pilgrimage to Mecca recently. Went down to Austin to the Tetherball Academy Studios. First time I ever met Boston Joe was there for the Super Bowl, and I was like, who the fuck is this kid? But it was a rad night. It's a rad place. Everybody's awesome. How was your trip?
Place. Oh, it was great. I got to hang out with Coop and Joel. Got to go out drinking with Coop, his girlfriend, and John Devilman. That was amazing. I got to try a new vodka out there that I fell in love with, and just overall had a great time. Everyone out there is fucking great. So if you're ever considering going out there, fucking do it.
Oh yeah. And then so moving on, Boston Joe. Where can everybody find you?
It's at Boston Joe 16 on Instagram. I know Tansy's trying to tell everyone to unfollow me, but if you could please follow me, that would be rad. But if you want to unfollow me, go fuck yourself and unfollow me.
Everybody go unfollow Boston Joe.
Oh, I will.
And then refollow him tomorrow so he doesn't kill himself. Because as much shit as we give him, we like having him around to shit on him. So.
He likes Kurt Cobain a little too much. He might try to imitate him.
No, I'm past 27, and Courtney Love isn't around, so I'll be all right.
Yeah. So where can they find you?
At Boston Joe 16 on Instagram, at Drinkin' Bros Music. Definitely go follow that too because it's going to gain some traction. Eventually, that'll be a show on the network. And obviously, Drinkin' Bros Sports Tailgate Legends, me, Eric Tanzi, and our producer Jimmy Bailey, who's all here with me right now listening to this. And give that a listen. Watch us on YouTube and hammer that like button.
Awesome.
All the fun stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, so if you're watching on YouTube now, hammer the like button. Another thing, like, if you feel like it, like, share content. Like, if you want to share this video, anything we post on Instagram, you want to share it. It just helps everything grow. Also, one of these days, I will remember to hit the record button on the fucking audio.
You did this time, right?
I did not.
No, he didn't.
We addressed it at the beginning of the episode, Joe. I did not. So I got to wait for Instagram to upload this damn thing so I can put the audio out. But I'm going to try something. I'm doing something new. So when the audio does come out, we can't do it on YouTube, but I'm going to attach a song at the end of every audio episode so people can jam out. My hope was that it'd be up for you guys for your Friday morning drive. That won't happen, but it should be up for your drive home this time. And hopefully in the future on Friday mornings, you can listen to the podcast and then jam out to some surprise music. I'll probably hit up Boston Joe for some recommendations on that one. But for now, again, hit all the likes, hit all the subscribes. And this has been the Nooner Nation. I'm Bill Schofield. I'm here with Jake Space Cowboy. Boston Joe, good night, Nooners.